Hey, what does it take to get into the cage?
No fear. You have it or you don't.
Here we are in the, what city is this? City? Culver City, right?
City.
We came here, what year?
1967, September the 30th.
In
1967.
This is Culver City, California. This is where we moved to for. How long were we here? How many months?
Less than a year, like 9-10 months.
And then we moved to the what? Mar Vista Courts.
Yeah.
Well, that's where we're gonna go now. So. As you can see, I mean, this is what it looks like. I think this had a little small Cuban community when we moved here. A lot of the Cubans, when they came from Cuba, a lot of them lived in Culver City, and this happens to be one of them. Where else do you remember living over here?
Don't get me. Well, after this, we went here 10 months, and we went to Culver, the project, so we'll go there next.
All right, let's go. Well, here we are in Culver City, California. When we were a kid, see this creek? I don't know if this is a creek or whatever it is. We used to go swimming here. When we were little kids, we used to see shows like The Little Rascals. And we would go in there thinking it was a river. Do you remember that, Titi?
I sure did.
Yeah, so anyway, I just want to show you the river. All right. We're over here in Culver City, California. This is called the Mar Vista Courts. This is where we lived from 1967 to 1974. That's Pimp Daddy, Funky Fresh. What's happening?
What's happening, Dougie Brown?
This is Richland Avenue, the junior high school that we... Stoner Avenue, not Richland. I went to school here from kindergarten to 4th grade. What about you?
From the 3rd all the way to the 6th.
Yep, this is Stoner Avenue. So we're gonna, as you can see, the projects is all fenced in. You can't even get in anymore. It was rough when we were here, but it looks like it's maybe even rougher now. I'm over here, Stoner Avenue. My God, Stoner Avenue. What a name! See, I'm getting closer. See how it says Stoner Avenue? I don't know if you can see it. This was one of the roughest elementary schools in Culver City. Over here there used to be trees that we used to eat. I can't remember what kind of fruits they were. But anyways, going back, that's Pimp Daddy Fresh right there, Papi Chulo. This was the playground and the projects. Right here we used to play in here. The Santana family lived over here, but this is the projects, the playgrounds.
Is that our house?
This is where we used to live in 1967 through 1974.
Get the front one.
People might think we're...
Oh,
well, this is the park. Well, this park didn't look like this when we were here. I mean, it looks real nice now. This is the where we used to play when we were little. The playground didn't look like this. When we were here, it was like dirt. It was just really old. Well, you can see almost 40-something years later, look what these kids have today. And they're crying about life.
Shit,
Over here, this was our big playground right in here. Got the Hayes family, Steve Hayes here. I can't remember a whole lot. This is what's behind our house right here. I remember we used to ride the big wheel. Remember the big wheel down here?
Yep.
This was the big wheel. This was our backyard right here. Where that back was right there.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know if you remember this, but you remember the swimming pool we had right here?
Yeah, we used to charge people to get in.
Right here. We used to charge people like 5 cents, 10 cents to swim right here. But this was, then we had the Mexican family right here. They had the towing. And then Steve Hayes used to live right there, that house right there. But
look at nosy people.
yeah, this is the projects, man. Crazy.
Yeah, that was our house right there. That was our house.
This is the church that we used to go to, St. Bernard, or St. Gerard, I mean. And this is where the priest was always drunk. This is where we used to go to catechism, right here, for our classes. So now we're just leaving Culver City. We're going to go to West LA now. This is the house we lived in West LA from 1974 to 76.
73.
Yeah. Actually, 76. Yeah, 76. We left.
73 to 76.
Yeah, because we left. Then over here, as I'm driving, this was the elementary school I went to from 4th grade to 6th grade. This is called Richland Avenue. This is where we used to play. Remember, we used to play baseball and all that stuff right here?
On the roof. We used to make our own balls, remember?
Yeah, on the roof. God, look at this school, man. This is crazy. Look at that.
That wasn't there, the parking lot. The basketballs are still the same. There was parking lot when we used to hit the ball over the roof.
Yeah, over the roof. Man, this is Richland Avenue.
We used to put them in. We used to fucking hit pretty far, you know? So one of those other guys still live. Remember the lowrider guys?
Yeah, this is Webster Junior High School. I went here for 1 year, right here off Saltel Boulevard. You can't really see a whole lot right now, but this is what Webster Junior High School was. As you can see, it's a pretty big school back in the days for a junior high school. Look at the size of it. It's pretty big. God, brings memories back. This alley, remember this alley? And we used to walk down. This was Fruit Alley. See, matter of fact, there's the fruits. Look at that. You see the fruits? See these fruits right here? We used to grab those. What are they? What kind of fruit are those?
I don't know. We used to eat them. I think them are figs.
Yeah, it was a fig. This was Fruit Alley.
There's peaches, there were plums, apricots.
Yeah, look at this. See more fruits. This looked like apples over here. But this alley had plums, oranges, you name it, we ate it. We would come here when we had no food. Remember that? We would grab.
They were hanging. I just don't see them no more. There was another one. That's the one they had in front of Stoner Avenue.
Yeah, that's the one. What is that? I don't know what the name is. Maybe it's a fig. See the oranges? Look at this. Oh my God, memories.
There were plums sticking out. We used to eat them.
Yeah. When we were hungry, we'd come through Fruit Alley.
See, girls.
All right, man. We're in Lawndale, California here with Pimp Daddy Dog here. This is Lusinger High School. We're here in the back, home of the Olympians. This is where we used to play. Oh my God! Look, they got bungalows there. Look at that. That's crazy. Didn't have that before. See that? Olympians, CIF champions. I like that. That was 1985. You remember that?
Yeah.
Look at this. The football field right here. Look at that. See, that's the only CIF championship I think they ever got. Yep, that's the football field right here.
There for no days?
Yeah, those bleachers are there. These bungalows are brand new.
You mean this here? Yeah, that's new.
This used to be the bungalows. I mean, basketball courts right here.
Right here. They were kind of shitty too.
Yeah, and then there's the basketball gym right here.
That's old.
Everything they painted the school looks kind of nicer.
Like an old gym.
Look at the front right here. This is the front. This school was made in 1932, one of the oldest schools ever. See that?
Yeah, the Olympics came.
They're losing our high school, the Olympians. Wow. This is actually not Lawndale. This is actually Hawthorne.
That's Lawndale. That's Hawthorne.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, I gotcha. And look at the parking lot. It looks like they took the fence down where the cars are.
Oh, what was there before? Wasn't there buildings?
You know what? I think there was building. You're right. It was buildings. They took the buildings down. They made a parking lot and took the buildings down.
And then they built like whatever spread out through here.
Yeah, they had buildings here. They took them. Oh, these were like the bungalows. Remember the art programs and everything?
It's nice with the parking lot here.
Yeah, they took everything
They
down.
like they're remodeling right now.
Let's go through the back of the high school here. Looks like they're building something here. Yeah, they took all those bungalows down. It's crazy.
That's the parking lot. Maybe they're doing something there.
Yeah, this is the back of the school here.
Parking lot.
You just see the parking lot. Yeah, it looks like they're redoing the parking lot. They're doing something.
That's a new building.
That's
man.
new, yeah.
Oh, look at that.
That building's brand new,
So they
yeah.
added some new ones back down there.
Well, let's get out of here. Let's go to the house we used to live at.
Owner.
Remember this is where I used to get ice creams all the time.
Guys did all
Salon.
that shit.
This dude is still here, man. God, amazing. Auto Park. This is Freeman Avenue. We just passed, well, it's Compton. Now it's called Marine.
Remember the
Maybe
nursery
this
used to be
neighborhood.
here? Knocked it down.
This was the nursery. We're in Lawndale, California here. Revisiting our old neighborhood. This is the famous Freeman Street that we used to walk every single day while we were going to Lou House. That is losing our high school. Remember when Mama used to live back here somewhere?
Yeah.
One of these streets. Well, this is what the neighborhood looks like. I remember this guy. Still looks like a jungle. This is where we used to live at in the corner.
They took the fence down.
They took the fence. It probably fell down. This is, we lived in...
That's the trees that I planted, dude.
Yeah,
you see those trees?
yeah.
They took the other one down, but I planted all those fucking trees here.
Yeah, look at this.
All of them.
Look at this place, man. This is my mom, my brother lived in the front here. You guys used to live here.
Those trees I planted.
This is where we lived. Do you remember the patio that you made? This was our neighborhood. Looks a little nicer now, but the fence came down, huh?
Well, no. I planted that tree there, or you did that one, the little one there. I planted those fucking trees there in the back.
Man, yeah, it's crazy.
They took the other one down. Because the other ones they probably tore up. Remember the one Nino planted?
Yeah, this is a Launcher Park right here. Remember Launcher Park?
Vanessa's husband, their parents live inside Launcher Park.
Really?
They take care of that place or something.
That's crazy. Remember they used to have all those softball games here?
I'm pretty sure they still do.
Yeah, this is Manhattan Beach Boulevard right here, and Prairie, one of our stopping grounds. My friend Diane's parents used to live over here behind 7-Eleven.
Over the line, we used to come here, remember?
Over here, this is El Camino Junior College in Torrance, man. Look at this shit.
Where's it here?
Oh, God. I didn't even see this idiot. They just almost makes a U-turn in the middle of the street. When you're talking about a bonehead. Anyway, this is the parking lot here. This is, remember the soccer field right here? Oh, you don't remember El Camino.
Come here.
Look at this guy right here. He's lost in time. He thinks it's 1968. Look at his long hair. So this is the soccer field right here. El Camino typically has a good soccer team. They're known for soccer and volleyball. We're driving through the campus right now, and they're having school right now. Probably aren't supposed to be here, but let's see if we get lucky. No, I don't even think we can park here, man. You gotta have a parking permit. So what? We're gonna take out, throw it away. Who cares?
Damn!
Okay, look at this guy's pulling out. Maybe I'll just take this spot.
Stop, dude. Don't get a ticket.
Maybe not. So this is school. Let's see. This is you see over here. Yeah. So we're just kind of driving to the parking lot. This is we're getting near the football practice field. Yeah. You used to never come to games practice, huh?
No, I didn't even know you were allowed to go to the practice.
Yeah.
How does it work, dude?
Oh my God, the football field looks tore up. Let's go over there. I'm probably not allowed to go there, but what's the worst thing they can say? Hey, you went the wrong way, right?
Shit.
So this used to be the practice field. Oh my God.
Oh, I used to run around.
What they do over here? Rip this place apart. No, this was the track.
I know, I used to run and they had the bleachers up there.
This was the track. There's the bleachers. Man, what are they doing over here?
Jog up those bleachers.
Maybe they're remodeling. That's the football field, but you can't really see it over here. The El Camino football field was amazing. It was like a little Rose Bowl. Remember that?
Yeah.
I think it held like about 12,000 people.
You can park in a London park and let's walk over here.
I don't think you can get in the football field though. And then it's the soccer. I don't know. That's probably the soccer recreation. People around here don't stop and stop signs.
They don't even stop.
Yeah, it's California stop signs. California. This was the locker room where we used to warm up and train and all that stuff. You can't really see it, but the football stadium is actually behind those trees. It's kind of weird. Let's see if we can go in there, man. Hello, my name is Roland and I'm just gonna pretty much interview myself today because I just always wanted to do this. I'm 49 years old today. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, and I'm going to share with you my journey of my life. That to me means a lot, and if I get to look at it all the time, oh well, but hopefully you enjoy my journey. I came to America in 1967 with my mother, my father, and my two brothers and sisters, and we lived for a few months in Culver City, California. A few months after that, we moved to another part of Culver City called the Mar Vista Projects. It was basically a welfare complex. You know, I guess you could say everybody was poor. There was quite a bit of Cubans there that came during the same time we did. And I was a very poor community because everybody seemed like was on welfare. And I was there from 1967 through 1974, from kindergarten to 4th grade. Don't remember a whole lot about the projects other than watching the Little Rascals on fake wrestling, and I remember going to school all the time, always hungry, and I couldn't wait for free lunch program. I mean, it was just my highlight. And for a while we had breakfast too, and then they stopped it for some reason. And I remember going to breakfast. I'll never forget breakfast. It was unbelievable. I didn't know what that was, going to school eating. So imagine, you know, going to school starving. It was very difficult for me and my brothers and sisters. I remember breakfast more than anything because I remember watching cartoons. They used to serve breakfast in the auditorium, and we used to watch Judge Antor. I'll never forget Judge Antor, you know, eating, you know, eggs and drinking milk, whatever the case was. It was just unbelievable. And during those years, you know, my father was never really home. You know, my father was, you know, doing his thing at night, I guess. And my mother was sick. I didn't really understand it. She would always doctor herself, and I just thought she was just, I don't know, sick, I guess. And I remember going to school all the time, just kind of, just didn't really know what I was going to school for. All I know was, I guess I used to go to school real dirty, and I had to check into the nurse's office every morning to make sure I was clean. I remember that. Didn't like that very much, and then they started moving me to another elementary school. I started off at Stoner Avenue, and then they moved me to Braddock, and then they brought me back to Stoner. You know, during those days there was no social workers. If the social system was to find out the way we were living, we would have definitely been separated, all of us. The projects was full of gangs. I remember the gangs. I remember that clearly. I remember, you know, during the summertime we would line up in the middle of the projects in line. I mean, it seemed like a herd of people, thousands of people waiting for their free lunch. I remember that clearly. And I remember watching the Little Rascals, and I said to myself, wow, I'm going to go out and get a job. My first job was going up to people's homes and knocking and telling them, can I take their trash can out to the curb? I started off in the projects, and I realized they were broke early. So I started to walk to a different neighborhood in Culver City. I would walk quite a bit, and I would start going house to house. That was my very first job. My second job was cutting people's lawn, one of those old school push lawn mowers. You know, I don't know if it was called a lawnmower. I would just spin and cut the grass. Next, my third job was grabbing fruits from people's yards. I would ask them, and I had a wagon that I found in a trash can once that was kind of beat up, and I would walk around all the neighborhoods with my little wagon. And I would grab the fruits, whatever fruit it is, in that neighborhood. And then within that same neighborhood, I would sell them to the people within the neighborhood. So I would have little money, you know, doing these 3 jobs. And then I would, sometimes I would go swimming. I would go to the same neighborhood, Culver City, of course, to like a middle-class neighborhood. And I would knock on people's homes or go to apartments and ask them, can I swim in their pool? And believe it or not, there was people that would let me. It was... You know, overall, people were very, very nice to me. And, you know, when I was a little boy, before I was undamaged like I am today, I was actually a real happy boy. I was always smiling. I was well-liked. Didn't really know sports then. I was just kind of just drifting, just having a good time. Another thing I didn't like about the projects, my brothers used to make me fist fight people all the time. And I didn't like that. I didn't like fighting. It was like they got a kick out of it. And didn't like that at all. I remember, I'll never forget this the rest of my life. We walked all the way to Santa Monica Pier. And we were walking, me and my two brothers, and I picked up a stick, and I found some hooks and some string, and I was fishing on Santa Monica Pier with a little stick and a hook, and I mean, there's no way I can catch a fish. That stick will break right away. And this man came up to me and asked me what I was doing, and I told him I'm fishing, and I'm going to catch Moby Dick today, and he started to laugh. And during that time, I don't know if they still do, Santa Monica, I had like a fish store on the pier, and he took me there and he bought me a fishing pole and I don't know what that's called, a bait box with hooks, you know, bait, and it was unbelievable. And then my two brothers couldn't believe that some person would do that for me. That was some good times. When I was living in the projects too, some of the things I remembered was always playing football in the parks. That's really the only sport I really knew. It was tackle football back then. I'll never forget the games we used to have. It was just the Mexicans versus the blacks. I mean, it was just so intense. I remember that. And I was always on the black team. My brothers were always in the Mexican team. It was really interesting. But, you know, living in Culver City in the projects was a really good time, good memories. Was it violent? Probably was. I was too young. I didn't really see it. But it was a really good time. And then after that, we moved to West Los Angeles from 74 to about 76. That was more of a middle-class neighborhood. I went to a new school called Richland Avenue, and, you know, going to school, I wasn't used to people getting dropped off with their cars, you know, the kids, that is, from their parents, driving real nice bikes. So it was a shock for me, you know, and here we were living in some middle-class neighborhood. Believe it or not, we had a house. I still don't know how my father got that house, but there was rumors. And we didn't belong there financially, and being there, it was really tough for me at first. And I was part of a ESL program, basically kids that can't speak English yet or slow, and I was extremely slow in school. I just couldn't think. I was either hungry or I had no interest in school. And all of a sudden, you know, we're in a different neighborhood, and the classes are different, the people are different. But overall, the people were very nice to me. I was able to meet a friend named Steve Hogue that introduced me to basketball. His mom and dad treated me great. It took me on backpacking trips, water skiing, just things that I never, ever would have done or imagined if I was still in the projects. I was part of their family for 3 years. Scott Kaiserman was another friend of mine that I met. His father was my baseball coach. And it was interesting because when I was living in West LA, I drove my bike to a park called Mar Vista Park, and Scott Kaiserman was playing baseball. And he told me about Little League Baseball. I didn't know what that was in 1974. So I rode my skateboard. I had a skateboard with steel wheels, and the axle was broken. So when I would ride my skateboard, if I hit a rock, I would fly, you know, on the concrete, and that was never fun. So I always knew it was going to happen sooner or later. Once or twice, sometimes more than that, sometimes never. It was really weird, depending on how the payment was. So I watched Little League Baseball, and I came home and I asked my father would he pay for my Little League. Of course, my father was an athlete, didn't know what sports was, and he told me to find a job. Well, I had a job, but we moved to West LA, and now I'm in a new community, new neighborhood, really didn't know anybody. And it was really crazy. I would ride my skateboard to the park a couple times a week and watch Little League Baseball. And then I was in 4th grade. And then 5th grade, I met this friend of mine that was a paper boy for the Herald Examiner. And he was actually able to get me a job. And I became a paper boy. And a few months later, I got a better job. Can you believe at that age I was already negotiating, going for a better job? So I started working for the Santa Monica Evening Outlook. And I had a little over 70 people in my route. I would deliver newspapers. I loved that job because I always got tips. And I was always trying to build my paper route bigger so I can get more tips.
And then during Christmas, it was unbelievable. I got gifts, and my paper route, the people were like 50 and over. It was like an older community, maybe 60 and over. And I would always get invited. You know, I would deliver papers, and after a couple of years, people got to know me, and I was invited to dinner. I would, you know, there were times when I was really, really hungry. I would go to people's homes. Did it almost every day, actually. You know, I would knock on the door, and they knew who I was, and I would walk in, eat with their families, or get cookies and milk, or whatever the case is. I was just, I don't know, I was just really, really lucky. People were just so nice to me in West LA. I loved that place. And then I went to West LA. I'm sorry, same city, West LA. I went to Webster Junior High School, and I was really into sports by now. I was in 7th grade, and I started to get into basketball, football, and baseball. That was exciting. And then when I was able to get enough money with my paper route, I actually joined Little League in 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. And so going to the baseball games in Little League was really cool. Other than after the games, it was, you know, it was rough because the parents were there and I had no parent there to support me. My father would go occasionally to the game, but he would disappear at the end of the game. I don't know why. He always left. Until I started to get really good, he just started to really come to all the games, like he wanted to be like recognized or something. I don't know, whatever the case is. My mom never came to a game. My brothers and sisters will come occasionally. You know, it was just one of those things that, you know, as a young man, a young boy that is, I was already on my own, just making decisions. I could have done a lot of things to get in trouble and etc. during those age, but I was actually a super jock back then. I was a really disciplined kid in terms of anything. I didn't do any drugs or smoke or drink, but again, I was really young too. So I played Little League baseball. I got to make the All-Stars. I got to travel a lot. Met a lot of really cool people, and then eventually we moved out of West LA. That was very disappointing to me because I really enjoyed West LA. Well, in 1976, we moved to Lawndale, California. Lawndale, California was rough at the beginning. We were there in the summer of 1976. I'm not kidding you when I tell you this. We starved. We didn't know where to get a lunch program. My father was already pretty much gone, just doing his thing, kind of abandoned us. It was really tough. I remember really being hungry, didn't know the neighborhood, didn't know anyone, didn't have a job. Then I went to Will Rogers Junior High School for 1 year. It was really interesting compared to Webster. Webster was milk, chicken, and vegetables. Now I'm in a new school district, a poor school district. Now I'm drinking Coke, cookies, and pizza. And I knew it was a shock to me. I mean, it was a shock at the beginning to me. I got kind of used to West LA. That was really nice. And then I entered high school. I went to Lusinger High School in Lawndale, California. I played sports there. I was once again I was in a lunch program, and it was really interesting. I couldn't find a job. I tried to look for jobs. Felt like I was a little too old to be a prepper boy now, and too young to get like a 9-to-5 job. Seemed like they always wanted people over 18 years old. So, you know, from 9th grade to my senior year, I didn't even work, and I hated it because I wanted my independence. I was confused, I was lost. I wanted to have a little money so I could buy myself things. Well, going to Lusinger High School, I was kind of like a clown, a joker. I was my athlete. I had a lot of my pain through my comedy, through my laughter, my joking. And once again, you know, from 9th grade to my 12th grade year, I ate once a day, roughly, almost every day. And playing sports. I remember at lunchtime, I would grab food from the tables or ask friends, "Are you going to eat that?" And I would keep it, put like apples, oranges in my pockets and stuff. And I was a poor student. I was really bad in school. I didn't do very well. I loved school, but I didn't love the classes. I had no interest. I really didn't know what I wanted to like to do when I got older. So I played sports, and then once again I was wondering if I was going to go to a college to play football. Football was the sport I ended up picking at the end. I played baseball. I played basketball. I was real little. I was only 5'9", about 145, 150 my senior year, and I did real well in football. I was a nose guard. I got Ocean League Player of the Year my senior year. My junior year, I got All League, Ocean League, actually Pioneer League. We went up to a different league. Baseball was average. Basketball was average. But football was just something that I really enjoyed. You know, it just came real natural to me. In high school, I was fortunate enough to meet a few friends. I met Jerry Ferrara, that's still my friend today. Robert DeMel came into my life. He was a little older than me, took care of me a lot. My father was kind of gone. My mom was more sick than ever. My brothers were gone already. My sister was gone. My little sister was living with my father, so it was just me and my mother for a couple years. One way it was kind of cool, you know, because I got to do whatever I wanted, and in other ways it wasn't cool. I remember living in Lawndale, I would say roughly 2 or 3 years. My front door didn't even lock. We didn't even have the hinges. So I would sleep with the door open. In other words, kind of like tilted. It was really crazy. I think back, it's like, oh my God, I was sleeping every night with doors open. But, you know, back in those neighborhoods, poor people didn't steal from poor people, so I didn't really think about being robbed or jumped or anything. It was just, maybe it's just being young and naive. I don't know. I think back, it's like, God, what was I thinking the way I was living? We didn't have any food in the refrigerator at all. I mean, it was rough, real rough times through high school. High school was a blast. It really, really was. Well, my senior year, I got a job at Carl's Jr.'s, and I loved it because I got to eat for the first time possibly in my entire life freely. I go to work, eat anything I want. I mean, it was awesome. Really, really awesome. So I had to make a decision. Was I going to play college football, junior college that is, or go to the military? You wouldn't believe this. When I came out of high school, I thought a university was going to give me a scholarship. I thought I was that good. Little did I know I was a foot too short and 100 pounds too light. So I walked down to El Camino Junior College. That was a powerhouse junior college program, still is. And I tried out for the team. I was there in spring practice just to get a jump on a lot of the guys. And going into summer, I thought I was going to be the starter. Little did I know I was fourth string. Didn't even know. This goes to show you how my mind was. So I went there thinking I was going to start. And I will never forget this, our first preseason game against Harbor College. I barely even got to play, and I was just devastated. I couldn't believe they weren't playing me. So every game, they started to play me a little bit. By the 5th game of the year, I started to like pretty much start. Some people got hurt that were in front of me or quit the team, whatever it is. Next thing you know, we go into league, and I was the starter, and I did very, very good. I was a nose guard. I weighed about 150, 155. Probably the strongest junior college league in America. Nothing but Division I ball players, but bad grades or whatever the case is. I found junior college football extremely easy. I had some really good coaches. Our head coach, Jack O'Reilly, went to the NFL, was offensive coordinator for many years for the San Diego Chargers, Larry Petro went all the way to World Football League in Europe. So we had a lot of good staff. But when I was going to school at El Camino, I was lost. I didn't even know what school was. I went in there, it was probably a 5th grade education. And, you know, I felt like the coaches never really cared about me. They never even talked to me about how I was doing in school, how my family life was. I mean, I can see if I was just an average ball player, but I was possibly, not possibly, I was the best defensive player on the team. I was the star of the team. So I felt that they felt like they were going to just get 1 year out of me. So I remember when the season, when season was over and then school was over, you would think they would ask me, Surreal, how you doing in class? Or you need any help with class? Those days, I didn't even know my coaches. I didn't even talk to them. Didn't even know what a counselor was. Didn't even know what a tutor was. And you would think they would talk to me. I'm just an 18-year-old kid. I have no family structure, no support structure behind me. So I had to take a summer school class, and believe it or not, I passed. And I got to play my sophomore year at El Camino. I did even better my sophomore year. I ripped my knee the first game of the season in terms of league play. It was our 6th game. And I still did really well, but I can tell I was losing a step. But I didn't want to tell the coaches how much pain I was in. Eventually, I got knee surgery after the season. What was interesting about El Camino is both years I made all-league honorable mention. I never understood that. No, especially my sophomore year, no one was even close to me on defense in terms of points. We had like a point thing at the end of the game, tackles, sacks. There was guys that were way below me on points. No one's even close to me my sophomore year, and these guys were first teams, All-Americans, All-State. I'm honorable mention all-league. Unbelievable. Couldn't believe that one. We played, I believe, with 6 guys that went to the NFL. We had some really good ball players, offense and defense. So I was kind of wondering after the season, if I was going to get recruited. I couldn't understand how there's so many colleges in this country, from Division I, Division II, Division II AA, Division I AA, and etc. Couldn't even give me a scholarship. Coaches never talked to me. Everybody was going to universities. Guys that weren't even playing much were getting scholarships. I wasn't getting any scholarship. Couldn't believe it. I was kind of shy. I didn't really want to talk to the coaches. And then when the season was over, I drifted through class for a couple of weeks. I dropped out. And one day I decided to go back to El Camino to walk around. And one of my coaches, Larry Petro, the defense coordinator, asked me how I was doing in school. And I told him I wasn't doing very well. I haven't been to class in 2 weeks. And then he said, well, you're going to have to take another semester. Let's see if we can get you into a college. I was thinking, come on, man. You couldn't talk to me way before that and tell me my situation, help me with tutors, help me with school. I'm the star player on defense. I felt like they owed that to me. I mean, at the end of the day, it's my fault. I don't want to put the blame on all the coaches, but, help me a little bit here. I was lost. 18 years old. This time I was probably 19 years old. And I never got to play football ever again. It was one of the most painful things in my life when I never played football again, because I know it's going to be bold and cocky what I'm going to say, but I've never played with anyone better than me. I've never played against an offensive lineman that can control me for 4 quarters. It was impossible. There's no way he could. I would see different centers, different offense tackles throughout the game. They couldn't understand how a guy could be 150, 160, whatever I was, and just totally dominate them. I was getting double and triple team every play. It's kind of funny. The first 3 games I got player of the game my sophomore year. I never got it again. It's kind of funny how I never got it again, and my points were even higher in the first 3 games. And then I'll never forget this rest of my life. We went to the team award day, whatever you call it, and I got defensive player of the year for El Camino, and they gave me a little plaque. Everybody was getting scholarships, pulling up with their families, limousine. I could show up by myself. And it was real painful hearing everyone talking about the universities they're going to and etc. And the families were with them, and I felt so alone. I remember leaving that day. It was one of the most painful days of my life. But, at the end of the day, I guess you could say it was my fault, But then after that, I drifted through life all the way up to about 1990. From 82 to 1990, I was working. You name it, I did it. I had every job you can think of, And I remember in 1986 through 1990, I worked for U.S. Airlines, and I violated one of the workman's comp rules, and they let me go. And that was very, very painful for me. But yeah, it was probably the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. I went out and I started a business called Latin Flavors from Latin Heaven. And at the time, I was a part-time dancer. And I was very proud of being a dancer, regardless of what people thought or the perception of it. But what else could I do? I couldn't fit into the 9-to-5 world. I pretty much got fired every job I ever had. It was a combination of a lot of things, but at the end of the day, it was my fault. I mean, I think back, I would have fired me too. I was a hard worker, but yet I didn't know how to follow directions very, very well. And then I got into full-time dancing, and I did that full-time from 1990 to about 1995. And I did very well financially. I worked really hard. I built a big business, and then in 1996, I got married. I moved to Arizona, and I started a martial arts school called Barusa Jiu-Jitsu. And before I moved out, I started training in Jiu-Jitsu in 1994 with Rickson Gracie. Well, when I started training with Rickson Gracie in 1994, it changed my life forever. Didn't know what martial arts was. I was actually at a park walking my dog, and there was a friend that I haven't seen in a long, long time told me that he's been training in martial arts. You know, back in those days, the perception of martial arts was, you know, some Asian martial arts. You had to be Asian to do it or like it. So he was a lot smaller than me at the time. And he asked me to wrestle me, and I said, "Sure, I'll wrestle you." You know, I was pretty muscular, strong. I felt that I can control this kid or handle this kid. To my surprise, he felt like an octopus, and I was just blown away by this. So I started training with Rickson Gracie in the city of West Los Angeles, and I started to really get hooked. And you know, I didn't know what my future was. I started training when I was 31 years old. And I met a lot of stars from the BJJ world from those days. It was real new to America, so it was really neat. I got to train with a lot of movie stars, producers, and etc. This is funny. I even had a shot to be Claude Van Damme's double in 1994. I was asked by one of the producers that was training with us, and I thought it was a joke. I thought they were playing a joke on me. Turns out a few months later that it was real. Well, didn't happen, never showed up. I was supposed to show up. But at that time I thought I was a movie star too. I was a dancer. I thought I was a celebrity, believe it or not. It was kind of funny. So I started to compete quite a bit with the BJJ. I started to compete against some of the best BJJ guys in the country and the world right away. I competed at the highest level in BJJ. I took on the absolute Mundial champion once, Fernando Margarita Puentes. He beat me, so that was kind of cool. Competed with no gi. I actually fought in the cage once. I did a boxing fight once. I did a cage fight when I was 46, and I did a boxing match about maybe 2 months ago at 49. That was cool. I actually fought 2 guys in one night, but again, these aren't really high-level guys, but nevertheless, I did it, and it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. So the summer of '96 came, got married, moved to Arizona. By the end of '98, I was divorced. I had a martial arts school, and my life took a turn. I lost my dancing business. It crumbled. It just fell apart overnight. And I had to make a big decision on what I was going to do with my life. And I still had the martial arts school, and I kept that going, but barely. And what I did for about 3 months, in 1999, I was promoting Rage in the Cage at little bars in Phoenix. It wasn't even legal back then. It was gray line in between. So I took a security job at a high school for 3 months. It was the most humiliating thing I'd done in a long time, but yet it was the best thing that ever happened to me. You know, I was used to living a really cool lifestyle for a lot of years. Next thing you know, I'm a security guard. And, you know, cage fighting wasn't popular back then. These young kids didn't even know who I was, you know. I got MMA legalized in Arizona. I'm the first promoter in the history of the state that was licensed to be an MMA promoter. And little did they know what I was doing. You know, after work, I would teach martial arts and then work on promoting Rage in the Cage. And then Rage in the Cage was still at a club level for a couple years. I was divorced. It was tough time. And then I started to promote at a higher level. Once the show got sanctioned, got legalized, I was able to move to an arena called the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix, where we started to draw, you know, 2,000 people, 2,500 people. That it was really cool. You know, that was back in, I would say, 2001. And in 2001, it was kind of cool when I started doing shows at Celebrity Theater. I actually started to believe that I was on my way to stardom. So for the next few years, I was doing them at Celebrity Theater. We went to a bigger arena called the Dodge Theater. During this time, I was developing a lot of UFC fighters. I've developed 9 UFC fighters up to that point, and that was, wow. I'd say that was right around 2003. So when 2005 came, I had a huge opportunity. That was to do a show at the Glendale Arena. It's like saying the Staples Center. But from 2003 to 2005, Rage in the Cage stumbled a little bit. I had to go out and get a job. I became a telemarketer for almost 2 years. That's right, telemarketing. And I was pretty successful at that. It's kind of interesting. When I think back, I was a telemarketer. Wow, amazing. Tough job, but it was fun. I had a friend who gave me a great opportunity to work for his company, and I moved up the ranks. Got to travel the world. I'm sorry, not the world, the country. It was a great, great time. So in 2005, I got an opportunity to do the show at the Glendale Arena. We were drawing 8,000 to 10,000 people. I thought to myself, man, I've made it. I've made it to the stars. Sorry about that. That was my phone. Let me turn it off so I won't mess up this great interview that I'm doing to myself. So I did about 6 shows at the Glendale Arena. I thought I was on my way for stardom. Well, they got a new GM, didn't like cage fighting. I was out the door. Then I went into the period of casinos. I was doing casinos all over Arizona. Still being pretty successful. Pretty good, actually. And then around 2008, I can kind of see things changing a little bit. Around 2010, I can really tell things were changing. And here we are, 2012, September of 2012, and I'm still in the game. I'm still surviving, tougher than it's ever been. I've been trying to get more innovative, more creative, to stay in the game, and hopefully one day I can get an opportunity. Would you believe I've promoted over 200 MMA shows, a little over 10 boxing shows, and around 60 Muay Thai shows, and probably around another 100 grappling shows. You would think that somebody out there would give me opportunity to take MMA or whatever sport to the next level. It's like deja vu. It's like this cloud that follows me. It happened to me in football. It happened to me once again promoting. Unbelievable. But at the same time, I've accepted my role, and I'm okay with that because I'm having funner times now than I've ever had promoting. I'm really, really enjoying it, and I'm having a real good lifestyle. I'm 49 years old, and this is the crazy thing. I told myself when I'm 50, that's about 6 months from now, I'm going to fight again, and probably fight a little bit more often, believe it or not, and I'm going to compete at 50. I told myself at 50, I'm going to really go for it, and hopefully I'm able to do it. Hopefully my show continues. I can still make a living off it. So it gives me the opportunity and the flexibilities to possibly train and compete and get out there. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed my my little interview that I interviewed myself. It's not the greatest interview, but I figured I'll give it a shot and have some fun with it. Once again, thank you. Roland Soria, the Doomstar Soria. I used to be called the Doomster. Then I went to the Dumpster. Now I'm the Doomstar. Anyways, thank you.